My mother didn't lower her voice. She set her spoon down, looked straight at me and said, "Your sister is coming with her 2 kids to live here. You need to leave. You parasite." The word hit harder than the dish she pushed away. I blinked. "You're joking, right?" She actually laughed. "No, I'm serious." Henry didn't look up. The kitchen light flickered above us, as if even the house understood something I didn't. My father's chair stayed empty, and in that moment, so did my place in the house. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I just sat there with my hand on the cold glass, already planning the silence that would come next. A lifetime of being the useful one. The truth was, this moment didn't come out of nowhere. I was 9 the first time I realized how roles worked in my family. Ivy spilled juice on the carpet, and before the stain even settled, my mother snapped. "Elena, get towels." Ivy stood behind her, dry, innocent, untouched. That pattern only deepened with time. She wandered through life collecting crises. I stayed steady, quiet, the daughter who fixed the gaps no one else acknowledged. When my father got sick, that role hardened. I learned how to care for him in silence, cooking softly, folding laundry in the hallway so the noise wouldn't wake him. Ivy called with promises she rarely kept. When he died, she appeared long enough to cry into our mother's shoulder, then vanished again. I stayed because someone had to, and because silence had already become a shape I knew how to live inside. For 3 years I drove my mother to appointments, sorted medications, handled bills, cooked meals, and repaired everything from loose hinges to flickering lights. She noticed none of it, unless Ivy called. Then her voice brightened, her posture shifted, and the house felt like it was being rearranged for someone who barely visited. I ignored the hints. The photo albums moved to the garage. The brochures for senior living left out by accident. The day I caught her quietly folding my clothes, clearing space in my own dresser. The night everything shifted. It finally unfolded on a calm Wednesday evening. I walked in from work, cold air clinging to my sleeves, my tote still on my shoulder. My mother stood at the counter with 2 steaming mugs. For a heartbeat, I thought she'd waited for me. Then she said, almost casually, "Ivy called. She's moving back. She needs stability. She'll take your room." No hesitation. No apology. Just a decision she assumed I already understood. "I'm still living here," I said quietly. "You're 33, Elena. It's time you started your own life. Ivy can't manage 2 kids alone." The ease with which she said it, like it was an administrative note, made something inside me tilt. Years of small betrayals folded into clarity. "You're joking," I whispered. She laughed. Not kindly, not cruelly, just dismissively. "No, I'm serious." Henry walked in, nodded at her words, never looking at me. They had decided long before this conversation. I steadied myself with a single breath. "I see." And something in me finally stopped bending, leaving quietly but with power. I didn't pack that night. I held my silence carefully, like a blade. Before sunrise, I sat at the kitchen table gathering every document of the last 3 years. The bills I paid, the repairs I funded, records of expenses I covered, paper trail of invisible labor. Then I logged into our shared account. Another unfamiliar withdrawal. Another assumption that what was mine belonged to them. Quietly, I opened my own bank account and transferred everything that was rightfully mine. At work I called Adele, the attorney my friend Mira once joked I'd need someday. I used to laugh at that. Not anymore. "You've contributed significantly," Adele said. "Document everything. And leave on your terms, not theirs." I did exactly that. I visited apartments during lunch breaks. Signed a lease for a small, calm place with light pouring through tall windows. Scheduled a locksmith for Saturday morning. All in silence. At home, my mother spoke endlessly about Ivy's arrival, repainting rooms, bunk beds for the kids. I listened the way someone listens to whether they no longer live in. The departure. Saturday at dawn, she left to pick up Ivy and her kids from the airport. I watched her car disappear from the window. Then I opened the door for the locksmith. New locks replaced the old ones with the soft scrape of metal. He handed me the keys, heavy, decisive. My friend Jonah arrived, and together we moved the essentials. My father's bookshelf, my documents, my bags. I left without a fight, without a goodbye, without permission. The confrontation at the house. At my new apartment, peace lasted 9 minutes. My phone exploded with calls. Mom calling. Mom calling. Mom calling. The key isn't working. What did you do? When I returned to the house, their suitcases were piled on the porch. V-paste. The kids shivered. Henry kept twisting the doorknob like brute force would reverse reality. My mother's voice broke the moment she saw me. Elena, open this door. Now. I stood at the bottom of the steps, calm for the first time in years. It's no longer my responsibility. I handed them a folder, every document proving my contributions, and my official written notice. You can't do this. Henry snapped. I already did. My mother stared like she was searching for the old version of me, the one who apologized for existing. She always does what I tell her, she whispered. Not anymore. And I walked away. A new beginning. The first morning in my apartment felt unreal. Quiet. Clean. Lights slid across the floor uninterrupted. The air didn't hold anyone else's expectations. I made coffee and breathed fully for the first time in years. My father's bookshelf sat by the window, no longer buried in storage. The new keys hung by the door. The silence wasn't heavy anymore. It was soft, welcoming. And in that stillness, a truth settled. Walking away wasn't revenge. It was clarity. A boundary drawn in steadiness, not anger. Some doors slam. Others close with a quiet turn of a key. The most important ones. The ones you close on the people who only loved the version of you that served them. For years my life waited for permission. Now it finally had room to begin. If this story stayed with you, stay close.